Well, Teen, let's revisit condo v renting.
I think we could call this the war of downsizing, hey, Norm?
Oh, you bet. So everybody has a set idea. What we would like to do is just to tell you what our story is, how we ended up renting, and what we considered with condos. And we would think this is especially useful for anybody about to come into retirement, wanting to downsize, and are thinking, do we buy a condo or do we rent? So here's our take on it.
I think one of the biggest things that Norm and I were concerned about if we were to buy a condo was the fees, either the condo fee or the HOA fees.
Yeah, we were. We were very
Yeah.
concerned about that because there's no limit to the increases that a condo corporation can increase. And we've had two family members that have been in condos and have ended up, in the end, selling because the condo fees went too high for them.
Yeah, we were actually very surprised at that, weren't we? That, you're told when you first move in what it is, and then it keeps going up and you've no idea what it's going to be.
So it's the condo fees,
Yeah.
and obviously that pays for the upkeep of the exterior of the building and the landscaping and the common spaces within the building. But point number two is, how well is the condo corporation that's running the building financed? Have they been charging enough in the past to have a pool of money that will pay for the repairs, will pay for the maintenance? And a lot of the condo corporations start off with small fees just so they can attract residents.
And I think as time goes on, they then have to look at things like replacement of roofs and the windows. And one of the biggest things that was our concern was actually the elevator, because most condo buildings do have elevators, and that could be a huge expense, couldn't it?
It could, Tina, because we're in an apartment building which we rent, and since we've been in here, there's been two major services of the elevator, and that's where they rewire it. So the cables that run the elevator have to be changed after so many years. So we saw them doing that 2 years ago in our building. Well, could you imagine how expensive that would be if you have to pay as part of your condo or HOA fees for the elevator to be recabled?
And I think what a lot of people don't realize, Norm, is if there is not enough money in this fund, they still go ahead. The condo board votes to do it, to replace whatever it is. And then if there's not enough money, they just divide the amount up between everybody who owns a condo in the building. So you could just get a surprise bill for 5 or 10,000 that you had no idea it was going to be.
They call it an
Yeah.
extraordinary fee, and it is extraordinary. And that might derail your retirement because you're then having to cash in investments to pay for this additional amount. The other thing is, who wants to retire and get a mortgage to buy a condo? So you're now into borrowing money at the market rates. We're in a financially volatile period, and paying a mortgage as well as property tax, as well as condo fees or HOA fees. It's starting to sound expensive, Tina.
And I think the other thing too, Norm, is just look at the flood of condos that are out there. I mean, there's so many of them that how do you actually protect the price even that you say you bought it at? Because the market, as you say, is very volatile at the moment, and most people are paying way over what the real price is.
To give you an idea, in Toronto, the vast majority of condos were designed and built for investments, for people not to live in them, not the owners of them. And so consequently, they're very small in square footage, and they're not particularly laid out for a family or even a couple.
Yeah.
So you have that. Plus, with the financial uncertainty, a lot of these investors, with the mortgage rates being renewed in Canada, the interest rates have gone up substantially. People maybe had a 1% mortgage on it. Now they're 5 or 6%. And so they can't afford these as second investments. So they're selling them. There's a flood on the market. And when there's too many units for how many buyers there are, the price goes down. The other thing is you're liable for everything inside your condominium unit. So, for instance, fridge, stove, washing machine, faucets, taps, baths, anything that can wear out or leak or break, you have to replace. So, to give you an idea, we've been in this apartment 10 years. They're basic appliances, nothing like what we had in our house where we had luxury appliances. So we have basic, straightforward, what you would call builder grade appliances. The only one to have broken in the 10 years we've been in the unit was the dishwasher. And it just stopped working one day. Yeah. So we called the superintendent. They got their appliance repair person who is on staff with this owner of our apartment building, because they have 100 apartment buildings. So they hire their own appliance people. He came in and said, no, it's pooched. Motor's gone. We can't get new motors. I'll install a new one. We went away to Portugal. When we came back, brand new dishwasher installed in our unit. No cost to us.
It's great, isn't it? And I think the one thing that I should add there is that, they all work perfectly great. The cooker cooks, the dishwasher cleans the dishes, the laundry, washer and dryer, they all do the jobs. But as Norm said, if we have any problems with any appliances, we just pick the phone up, call them, they come and sort it out.
And
it's great.
We're in an area that has a lot of calcium in the water, so it's hard on the taps or faucets. So we've had our kitchen tap, the cartridge in it, replaced twice in 10 years. And so we didn't have to do it. We didn't have to employ somebody to do it. We didn't have to go on YouTube and figure out how to do it. They just came in, the on-staff plumber, and replaced it and upgraded the handle as well at the same time. So these are the advantages of renting.
Well, the other thing too, Norm, I was going to point out is that we've now got 2 brand new low using water toilets.
Yes.
Remember? So we've got brand, yeah, I guess I got that kind of wrong, but the beautiful low new toilets.
Yeah, 2 years ago, this building, the owner replaced every toilet in it with a low flush, more water efficient toilet. So we got 2 brand new toilets. Once again, we didn't pay for it. Uncertainty of the cost of living being in a condo. You don't know what your monthly expenses are going to be. Sounds weird.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the biggest things for us. We knew that when we rented here, and in the case when we moved in here, that one amount that we pay per month includes everything. It includes our rent, our hydro, our parking, everything is included.
Property tax.
Yeah, everything is included. Water, like you name it, it's just in that one amount. And to us, that was something that made us feel very good, didn't it? Knowing we just have that one figure going out per month. Now, we will add that anybody coming in now has 2 bills. They have the hydro on top, but we just have one.
And when Tina says hydro, for our viewers overseas, that's electricity.
Yes.
So every year we get a maximum rent increase of 2.5%. It can be up to 2.5%. And for that year, we know every month what our housing cost is.
Yeah.
There's nothing additional to that. So every penny beyond rent is ours. We don't have repairs. We don't have depreciation. We don't have replacing carpets or flooring or any of the other things. So we have a certainty of cost. A condo owner doesn't, because you don't know what maintenance you might have.
I think that was one of also the biggest things, that when we were looking to make our decision what to do when we were retired, was we actually wanted to reduce the stress in our life. We didn't want to go back to all the problems that we had when we had a house, did we?
No, not at all.
We were trying to move into the new chapter in our life. And to us, when we looked at condo buying versus renting, the renting just reduced that stress level, and it sort of hit all the boxes we were looking for.
Life's too short,
Yeah.
and who needs additional stress? So we have one rent payment, and that's the cost of our housing, total cost of our housing. And that goes out automatically on the first of the month.
Yeah.
And we've kind of taken that one stage further. So we have automatic payments of all our credit cards, our cable and internet. And that's pretty much
Yeah.
it.
Oh, and actually, we've even automated all the credit card bills now too,
Yeah.
haven't we? So when we're traveling, everything is taken care of. That reduces stress too.
All that we have
Yeah.
to do is to make sure that we transfer a set amount of money
Yeah.
every month into our checking account, and then everything is taken care of from that. How about mobility, Tina?
That's something that people ask us about a lot, because sometimes you might not know where you want to end up in. So when you rent, you only actually have to give 60 days notice. So if you move somewhere and you rent and you don't like it, you are free to make a decision. So it gives you a greater flexibility in life, I think.
So we're only 60 days from retiring in Thailand.
Oh, I don't think so, Norm. Definitely don't tick the box at all.
We like that because you might have seen our other videos. We had a house in a rural subdivision. Beautiful home, loved it. We did all the improvements to it. But it took us a year to sell it.
Yeah.
Actually, just over a year to
Yeah, it
sell
did,
it.
didn't it?
And when we were in England, we had another beautiful house, 4-bedroom in a town, in an urban area, not a rural area. And that took us 18 months to sell it. And there were different reasons. The house in England was because high inflation and people being laid off work. So houses weren't selling because of the financial situation. In Canada, when we were trying to sell our house to retire here to our apartment, we couldn't sell it because there weren't as many buyers for rural areas as there were for urban areas. So we have the ability to get up and go within 60 days and not be weighed down by waiting the year or 18 months to sell a property. That's just one of the advantages of rent.
And I think that is something that a lot of people, when they're looking or newly retired, Norm, is sometimes they might not make the right decision to begin with the first time.
No.
So that gives them a lot more flexibility. And that same flexibility is when we want to travel. That was another big thing for us. We felt reassured that we could just close the door and travel, whether we go away for 2 weeks or a month, it doesn't matter, because we have on-site building superintendents. They actually live here in the building, and we know that if anything should happen, they'll come in and take care of it.
Yeah. If there's a leak or
yeah.
any major
We don't have
damage,
to worry about it, do we?
no, it'll be taken care of because it's not our building.
Yeah.
So we think that home is meant to be a safe haven.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be an investment. And for many people now, Gen X and people coming up behind baby boomers, a house was never meant to be an investment.
No.
Investments were stocks and shares, mutual funds, high interest savings account. Whereas now people are buying the maximum amount of house they can afford because it's an investment. And although house prices haven't crashed recently, not in Canada, they have in the US. There was a big one a few years back in the US where people lost money. You can lose money on houses, so it shouldn't be an investment. It should be a place to live.
Yeah, that's basically it, isn't it? It's just your home. That's where home is, where the heart comes from.
Now, we are in a rent control building, and rent control is basically the provincial government sets a maximum amount that the rent can be increased. And currently it's 2.5% in our province. And so we do hear people saying, oh, rent control, you're so lucky. There's no rent control area anywhere near us. We did two things when we decided to move into an apartment. First one, we looked at apartments where we lived in Ottawa, and they were expensive because Ottawa is a big city, big population, big demand for apartments. So then we thought, why don't we look at going to a cheaper area? And our son just happened to be living in an area that was designated to be less expensive than Ottawa. So we saved $1,000 a month by renting in a cheaper town than if we'd stayed in the area where our house was. The other thing is, Ontario does have rent control. We realize that. And there are 5 total provinces in Canada with rent control. So if you want to reduce your cost of living, maybe look at some of the areas where those 5 provinces have rent control and move there. What about the US, Tina? Do they have rent control?
Yes, they do, Norm. And in actual fact...
You're joking. Everybody tells us they don't.
Yeah, everybody says, no, we can't move into an apartment where you don't get rent control. There are actually 7 states in the US where there is rent control. So perhaps you need to maybe look and, if needs be, change state. If we're talking about, we saved $1,000 a month at the time by moving to a small town.
It was worth it.
Oh, absolutely it was, wasn't it?
Gave Tina $1,000 a month to spend on whatever she wants.
Yeah, like massages and hair and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, everybody who says there aren't any places in the US, yes, there are. So check them out.
You have to be willing to help yourself. You can't just sit in your hometown and say, there isn't this, there isn't that. We moved and made it happen. So that's why we do not have a condo. And we figure condo v renting, it is a downsizing war.
Yeah.
And we chose renting for the reasons we've just said.
Yeah, it was actually a no-brainer for us, wasn't it, when we looked at all the costs?
It really was, Tina.
Yeah.
So we hope you're keeping well.
And staying safe.
And until the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.